ejaculate into her system ideas that create a nation of lost hope. Ovum eggs filled with hatred which give birth to destroyed pride. The umbilical cord which nourishes them is connected to white supremacy. You see, for decades, it would wrap around the very philosophies of Biko, hold a black dead fetus in its hands and watch how this being shall never be conscious of who it truly was. My empress with no shoes but possesses an exposed soul, awoken by the soundtrack of 21 gunshots, not to be draped in purple linen, but instead to be moisturized by the bloodshed of the 69 lifeless souls left by the Sharpeville massacre. My trap jewel, found somewhere in between slavery and colonialism, my queen who wears no crown. Instead, her real bloodline is identified by a little black book she was once forced to carry. Her real throne not reserved for just her. Instead, it carries hers and every man passing the local library's thesis deposits. Instead of bracelets, she wears shackles. Instead of necklaces, she wears chains. Muntom nyam. Muntom nyam. Muntom nyam.
And that is how we profoundly introduce the Youth Month with a poetic expression. I think that bit we need is that kukum, just to celebrate the Youth Month. I'm your host, Isetso Masike, and welcome to Trendz Live. Now, in 1976, the youth of South Africa caused a much pandemonium for a good cause. Theirs was to challenge the laws governing the education system then. Many young lives, unfortunately, were lost, but their seemingly unruly protests and expressive behavior have been serving today's generation. Beauty at its best. Now, poetry is a unique form of expression, and Expressionist Angelyric uses this form of relaying a very imperative narrative, young and also opinionated. She joins us to discuss how the spoken word is still relevant for young people today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I should say that was very beautiful, guys. It was very. I'm so honored to have you in the studio today, right?
I'm so honored to be here.
So I just want us to start here. You being a vibrant mixture of creativity, and I'm using this because you are a vibrant mixture of creativity, and you still refer to yourself as the spoken word. What does that mean?
So I refer to myself as a spoken word artist, I think particularly for two reasons. The first reason is because I try to use the tools that the ones who came before me used to transfer knowledge, to transfer our heritage, because if you think about us as a country, as a continent, every information that we know of about the African people is captured in spoken word. And the definition of spoken word poetry is basically performance poetry. So I tried to bring in what the people from the past in current times and try to bridge those two worlds.
So bridging the two worlds, and for you it's more than just poetry, it's more than just a microphone and rhyming. You also tend to refer to yourself as a protest artist, right?
Yes.
And also reflecting on the social ills, especially this generation that we're going through. How would you rather address that, or how would you use that poetry just to address the social ills that we go through?
I mean, if you think about it, one of the most crippling things that the apartheid government did during apartheid is that they banned literature. Because they knew that within that literature is a free mind waiting to happen. Right? And I feel like it was relevant then to use literature, particularly spoken word, and it still is relevant now. A typical example of my journey, I was part of an anthology by the French Institute of South Africa, and it was called Yesterdays and Imagining Realities. So there were about 40 poets who were involved in this, and all the poems were translated into French as well. But the basis of the anthology was for us young poets, because you had to be under 35 to be part of that anthology, to speak about our histories and how those histories have in fact impacted our current socio-economic issues. So yeah, I think poetry has always been a tool for protest. I can speak about Zakes Mda for the longest time. I can speak about Lebu Mashile. I can go into international politics and speak about Angela Davis, Maya Angelou. It's always been a protest tool first, because I believe that poetry is the protest waiting to happen.
And you referring in a very beautiful way to protest, and also stealing from your answer of you being a young poet, right? I just want us to go quickly to the revolution, 1976, right?
Yes.
That was a year on its own that went down in history. But then today, what message of hope do you rather have to fellow South Africans, especially young South Africans in this time?
Okay, so like, I think one thing we need to take away from the youth of 1976 is that they showed up for each other, you know, and that is why they were able to cripple the system, you know, and I feel like the current generation shows up for what they believe in, but we don't understand that even though something might not directly affect you, if we are not showing up for things that affect other people, we are going to stay crippled in the system. So I'm saying, show up for me, show up for you, show up for the woman down the road, show up for the man who isn't coming home, show up for every single person, and I believe that we will be able to mirror the strength and the power of the generation of 1976.
And then you being a lady of literature, right? I think you've heard this saying many a times, Rome was not built in one day, right? But so was not South Africa built in one day. What is the ideal country for you as a South African?
The ideal country for me as a South African is a country where our brothers come home. It's a country where our sisters aren't killed. You know, it's a country where the youth can express themselves without being judged. It's a country where social orientation can be explored without being judged. So it's a country of complete freedom. It's a country that actually mirrors the cornerstones of our Constitution that protect human rights, human dignity, freedom, and liberation.
Lastly, where do you draw inspiration from?
I draw inspiration from you. I draw inspiration from the sound of a guitar. I draw inspiration from my history. I draw inspiration from my environment, and hence why I say that I'm an expressionist. So every interaction that I have, I believe that's where all inspiration comes from, because it is not mine, but it's the energy that exists in the world.
I'm actually much more impressed, and I'm also flirted because you said you draw inspiration from me as well. So next time when I hear you on stage, I'll be like, I inspired her one time. Listen, keep on doing the beautiful work that you're doing. Keep on telling the world about the African story in such a melodic and poetic way. Keep up with the good work.
Thank you so
South Africa, it's only just the beginning as we continue to celebrate Youth Month. If you have not seen your calendar yet, yes, we have officially entered into Youth Month, and we are also celebrating Pride Month. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. That's on Twitter at Trendz on SABC. From me, Tisetso Masiki, I think I've done enough. Listen, you just keep on doing what you do best.
Thank you so much.
South Africa, thank you.